We'll now turn our attention to boxing again and an upcoming fight which has caught the eye. Kubrat Pulev versus Kevin Kingpin Johnson. Obviously, we're not going to be focusing too much on the betting side here because I would imagine that most people have a reasonable idea of who's going to win this one. Fairly one-sided, but this will be more of a boxing analysis and just a discussion about these two fighters who are both very interesting. Just to cover the betting side, it's Kubrat Pulev 1 to 100. It's Kevin Johnson 16 to 1. Those are the betting odds, so there's not too much to say there. Pulev is clearly he's got a habit now of picking fighters that are past it just to keep busy, so he can keep everything working, keep his rhythm going, stay in form, getting ready for his IBF mandatory title shot. I think he's in line to face the winner of Vladimir Klitschko and Anthony Joshua. So what he's trying to do is stay busy, fight names, so these aren't a complete joke fights, but people that he's not really risking an L against. He's not going to lose, but he gets to keep busy, and it's just an outing really. He'll get paid a reasonable amount of money and just stay busy without risking a loss. So I see where he's coming from. I see what his strategy is. He fought Samuel Peter last time out. Sam Peter used to be decent. Fought Klitschko a couple of times, heavy-handed, but now he's past it. He's obviously past it. He's heavier than he was. He hasn't been active for years. He's just out for money. And Kevin Johnson, I don't like to say it because I like him. I mean, everyone likes him. He's a great talker. He's brilliant at press conferences. He's very charismatic. And but yeah, he's towards the end of his career. I do seem to remember after Anthony Joshua knocked him out, he said he was done. He talked about his property portfolio and investments he can do in property. He talked about his business endeavours and he said he's done. He went into, I think it was on IFL TV, he went into big detail about how he was finished with boxing and how, when the last bell rings on your career, it's time to go. But I seem to notice now he's fought in March in not a huge fight, and now he's lined up a decent payday against Pulev. So obviously the money was offered, the money was put up, and he went for it. I can't say I blame him. If the money's there and you need the money, go for it. But I think he's taken on one challenge too far here. He hasn't been hugely active. He did have that fight in March, but he hasn't been hugely active since the Joshua KO. And I think I think he will know he's facing a huge test in facing Pulev, who is a serious contender at heavyweight. When he goes on to get his IBF title shot, he will have a huge shot at winning it. He's improved recently. There was a time just after when he lost to Vladimir Klitschko, there was talk about him having a bit of issues with his training and his trainer. He wasn't sure about his training strategy. Wasn't 100% sure about the direction he was going in training-wise. But I think he's sorted that out, judging by his progress since then. And this will just be a fight to keep busy and prepare for that big title shot. Pulev 6'4.5", 24 wins, 13 by way of knockout, one loss to Vladimir Klitschko, which is obviously nothing to be ashamed of. Klitschko knocked him out. What I liked about Pulev there was he wasn't afraid. He could have maintained distance a bit better to stay out of range of Vladimir's dangerous right hand, but he went there to fight, and when you do that at heavyweight against a serious competitor such as Vladimir Klitschko, there is the possibility that you'll get knocked out, and that's exactly what happened. But that loss aside, very impressive record. Wins, as we said, wins over a jaded Sam Peter, a decision over Chisora, a victory over the journeyman George Arias, who we've all heard of, Joey Abel, yeah, we know him, Tony Thompson, we all know Tony Thompson, 2 victories over David Price, seasoned campaigner. If you get past Tony Thompson, you've got to know your way around a boxing ring. Your fundamentals have got to be solid. It shows that Pulev knows what he's doing. Alexander Ustinov is on the record of Pulev. Dimitrenko, Michael Sprott, Derek Rossi. I mean, we can see that Pulev is seasoned. He's not someone to mess around with. He's a danger. If you're going to go and fight Kubrat Pulev, you've better done your preparation and you better give him respect, because if you don't, you could be in serious bother. That's a very, very accomplished record he's got there. I mean, if he was going to fight someone like Joshua, we know how technically gifted Joshua is. We know about his amateur career, but what we don't know is how he fares against big names. And we're going to find that out when he faces Vladimir Klitschko in April. But Yeah, Pulev would definitely be a serious test for Anthony Joshua. Kevin Johnson is becoming a bit of a journeyman now, but there was a time when he was a serious contender. After the Anthony Joshua fight, things sort of went south. Well, he said he was finished, didn't he? In his career, 30 wins, 7 losses, 4 losses in his last 5, so the form line is looking a little bit worse for wear. But having said that, against proper competition, we have to look at the competition Johnson faced. Every record has to be judged against the quality of his opposition. And if we look at those names that he had problems with, Manuel Char, again, I've mentioned him before, not the best in the world, but he's a name, he's around. You know, he's been around, he's not a mug. Had problems with Manuel Char, he got defeated by him. Derek Chisora, we know him, accomplished fighter, experienced. Don't need to go into that. If you lose to Chisora, well, there you go. It happens. Christian Hammer, another name. We know him. And obviously Tyson Fury. We know how good he is and what he's capable of. So, yeah, 4 or 5 losses. He's on the way down. He's had 1 fight recently, but not against anyone serious. Pulev, massive favourite. Look at the odds. 1 to 100, Kubrat Pulev. 16 to 1. I mean, should I even utter the words? After what happened with David Haye and Tony Bellew, where everyone was on Haye, 1 to 7 or whatever it was, and he got turned over. Should I say take Kubrat Pulev at 1 to 100? I'd probably say the opposite. Don't bother, because if you win, it's not the money you're going to get. It's not going to be worth taking, and if it loses, I'll have to close this channel. So please, I wouldn't bother with the betting. It's up to you. It's your money. But 1 to 100, you're not getting a lot. Huge favourite, Pulev. He is likely to win it. Very as strong a favourite as you'll get. Reach, height and power. He's got the trifecta. He should have too much for Johnson. I think Johnson's out for a paycheck. I don't think Johnson's here on a campaign to get back to the summit of heavyweight boxing. He might say something different in the press conference, being the charismatic, salesman that he is, and we all look forward to that. I think I look forward to the press conference more than the fight. Great talker, the Kingpin, and we all love him, but he's up against it here. Will be a great fight. Look forward to it. Pulev likely to win, and that's all.